As I reached up to turn the fuel line off when I'm bent over, I looked down to the wood line where we came from, and there it was, standing right there. Full head-to-toe view. It didn't have a gorilla's face. It had more of a human face with a pushed-in nose. It shocks your system, you know, especially when you're a kid, man. This thing was every bit of 9 feet tall.
This is the Cryptic Creatures Podcast. I am Brian, and with me, as always, is my co-host Todd. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, what's going on with you there, Mr. Oregon man, Mr. Traveler?
I know. I'm looking forward to that in a couple weeks, heading out there to the big Pacific Northwest.
You are. You're going to be out there doing some investigating a little bit, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Gonna give it a shot.
I'm jealous, man.
Weather permitting.
Yeah, they're having some strange weather out there. And we're having some strange weather here.
Yeah, we are.
Just waiting for spring to
Craziness.
come along.
Yep.
It's like it just goes from winter to summer and you're done.
I know.
You know.
Come on, summer.
Did you check out that band I sent you the other night called
I did.
Sasquatch. There's a band called Sasquatch.
They sound pretty cool. I like their music, actually.
I do too.
They're good.
They sounded good. I hope our listeners hear this and they check them out. I found them on Spotify. But yeah, they're a heavy metal, kind of a heavy rock band.
Yep. Yeah, they're a metal band, yeah.
Yeah. Kind of a 80s, maybe. I don't know what you consider them. They're out of L.A., I guess.
Just metal. Yeah, they're L.A. rock.
Yeah.
Yep.
You guys want to check out the band Sasquatch? Give them a listen. Maybe we'll, like we talked about, Brian, we can get them to do a theme song for us on the show.
Oh, wouldn't that be awesome? Heck yeah.
Get them on, talk to them. That'd be great. Right. Anyway, enough of this. Our listeners are ready to hear some encounters tonight. So,
yeah, who we got?
We got William Nighthawk coming on. He's a Native American, and he's had several things going on in his life and still continues to have things going on. So,
yeah, I can't wait to hear.
Let's bring him on and see what he's got to say. You ready?
Yeah, let's get him.
Thanks for coming on and talking to us tonight, William.
I'm glad I'm able to.
It says here that you're obviously Native American. What tribe are you?
I am Shawnee and Lakota.
Okay. Yeah. You're also a holy man, a military vet. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
A Mason?
Yep. 32nd degree Scottish Rite.
Okay.
Wow, cool.
And 38 plus years in the paranormal encrypted world. That's
correct. Actually, I was pretty much born into it. I mean, if anybody's ever actually gone through my site and read my bio and where I started to do my childhood growing up, my mother was a black witch. She was into black magic and all that growing up. So we had a lot going on our property, paranormal wise. Everything from shadow figures to demons to the Grim Reaper to you name it.
Jeez.
I mean, yeah, I've got a lot. I've got enough to put together a book. My dad was a truck driver, so when I was born, I was all over the place, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we ended up settling in Erie, PA. So I kind of grew up there. But that's where I had my first Bigfoot encounter too, and I had several of them there actually. So
yeah, why don't you tell us about those, William? Tell us about what happened and what you saw.
Well, my first encounter, I was 12 years old and I was riding dirt bikes, motocross bikes, with a couple of friends of mine, and we had this big field where it was bordered on three sides by thick woods. And in fact, we used to call it the Big Woods. And the trail we came through, it was really weird that day. It was a beautiful day, you know, regular day, you know, broad daylight, you know, wasn't even close to being, you know, dark or anything. And anyways, we're riding the motorcycles through the woods, and we get to the field, and we start going around the field, you know, like young kids do, you know, goofing around. Back then we didn't have video games and all that. So we did it outside, you know, we were outside all the time, you know, hunting, fishing, you know, riding dirt bikes, you name it, you know. And make a long story short, I got done riding and I parked my motorcycle and I got off and turned the fuel line off. And as I reached up to turn the fuel line off, when I'm bent over, I looked down to the wood line where we came from. And there it was, standing right there, full head to toe view, reaching up in the tree. And there was a smaller one up in the tree. So I'm not sure if this one was a female or not, because I couldn't see the front of it, because the way it was standing more out of the side than as a profile. So you could see the side, like I saw the thick neck right here, and the head was pushed down closer to the chest. And I saw the massive arm, and I saw the huge buttocks and the huge legs. It was really incredible for someone my age. Oh. The only thing I could incorporate it to seeing was like a silverback gorilla, but it didn't have a gorilla's face. It had more of a human face with a pushed-in nose. Okay, more like I don't even want to say a Neanderthal, but I mean, yeah, it had a brow ridge and stuff like that, because I could tell because it was thicker up here, but it was more human. It was, it was just a weird mix of just, I don't know, just something you never really imagined you'd see in the woods, Right. Something that it shocks your system, especially when you're a kid, man. But that wasn't the last time I saw that one either. And I think the other one, the next year later, the one that was up in a tree, it was, at that time, it was probably 4 feet tall. So it must have been like, I don't know, probably not even a year old. And that'd be my guess. I guess this one was babysitting, or maybe it was teaching it something or whatnot. But this thing was every bit of 9 feet tall. Okay. And that is no lie. Every bit of 9 feet tall. Okay. No odor. Okay. No eye shine or anything like that. Because when we got up off of the motorcycles and we were all standing there with our jaws dropped open looking at this thing, we couldn't believe it. We were amazed, Anyways, it went down, all of us, and got back on our motorcycles, and we started to turn around and go back down where we came in at, where it was, and it was gone like that. I mean, it was gone. I have no idea where it went. I didn't see it even turn around. I just blinked, and it was gone. That's how fast it was and how fast it disappeared. Now, my whole life growing up, my dad, he was a traditional native. We did sweat lodge. We did all kinds of stuff. We did Humblatia, which is our vision quest. We did everything. And everything as close to tradition as possible as society would allow us back in them days. Because in the 70s, it was still kind of, we weren't allowed to do our religious practices then. We didn't get around to having that freedom until around the 1980s. So
right.
There was still a lot of hype about Native Americans doing stuff like that off the reservation and all this on their own private land. So, yeah, that was the first time I saw it. And as we went down the trail to leave, we stopped our motorcycles, and every one of us tried to, and my one buddy was pretty big. He was 14 years old, and he was every bit of 6 foot tall at the time. And we all tried on our motorcycles to stand on the seats with the pegs down, the kickstand down, and try to reach the branch that he was reaching and pulling down with ease. We couldn't even get close to it. Wow. So that's how tall we know this thing was.
Yeah. So
if you put a motocross bike with about a 36-inch seat to a 40-inch seat, so that was the first time. It was a perfect view because the way we were, the field was here, okay? We were here at the edge of the field looking down towards the wood line that guarded, that skirted the field and into the opening of the woods where the trail was, and there was trees here and trees here, and it was standing right here, reaching up into a tree. So, yeah,
Gotcha.
Wow.
it was amazing. And then the following year, I saw, like I said, I think the same one again, briefly, but not as, as it was that time. Okay, we were on our dirt bikes again, but it was a whole different area of the woods. It was at a place we called the gravel pits. Okay, a place where they were just starting to build houses into the woods. Okay, and there was all kinds of like gravel dug up, and from all the equipment and stuff. So we rode our motorcycles through there and went out, and we'd go through the trails. And this is about a year later. We'd go through the trails, and we were going around, and the trail would go through the gravel pits, off a big hill, a jump hill, and then down into the wood line, and it would almost like horseshoe through the woods and come back out into the gravel pit. So we would go around in circles like that, okay, probably 2 or 3 times, and on the third time or fourth time I come through, out of nowhere, a branch hits the front of the bike, and I ended up wrecking the bike. The bike landed on top of me. In fact, I've got a burn on my left thigh, inside of my thigh, from the exhaust from the bike from back then. That really reminds me of that one time. Anyways, I get up and push the bike up, and I'm looking, and I'm thinking, oh my God, my dad's going to kill me, because, here it is. The bike is, pretty much a mess, so I had to straighten out the brake pedal and everything that was all mangled up. The kickstart was mangled up, so I'm in there and I'm trying to bend all this up, and I pull the branch out from where it caught on the tire and kicked me over. And I look off to my right, and there it is, standing there, completely still, probably about not even 100 feet away from me. I'd say probably about 80, 90 feet away. And it was just grinning.
Wow.
I looked at it, and I was like, it was like he was just grinning at me. And it was a guy this time, I could tell, unfortunately. But yeah, needless to say, I got on the bike and I tore out of there real fast. I didn't even stick around to even see where he went or what he was doing, because that grin just kind of creeped me out.
Oh, yeah.
So, and the Lakota, people, we have legends of it coming out on the reservation, and a big open field. A female one used to come out every early morning, about 2:30 in the morning, and just wail out there. And the story went that the reason she was out there that night wailing was because she lost her child. Mm. So, and that's why she was always seen to cut at that time of the morning, early morning, when it was dark out, and just basically cry, which, it's kind of sad, but,
Yeah.
But my whole life I was taught that they aren't animals. They're not animals. My whole life I was taught that they have their own language, and at one time, us as a native people used to be able to talk to them. Literally, we used to understand them. They went further and further away from our society, and we went about our way of living the whole time. So it's there's all kinds of legends out there related to the Native Americans and these things, and not just those things. There's other cryptids too out there. I'm sure you all know. You guys probably know a little bit more than I do about the modern day cryptids. I know more about the ones that I was told about and have interaction with. So
yeah, I remember hearing about how Bigfoot and the Indian tribes had a lot closer relationship back in the day.
Yeah,
and how your guys, you look at them as the Native American look at them as being more of a human and their own kind of tribe, so to speak, as where a lot of people say, well,
yeah,
I think
they
it's
are
a
a tribe.
Yeah, and they do have their own language.
No. Oh yeah. I'm positive of that. I mean,
Yep.
this just to even as a child, I kind of, even though I was afraid as a child, because you don't picture you're going to run into something like that. Okay, whether it's 10 feet from you or 100 yards from you, you never want to picture anything like that as a child, because you're out there to have fun and just be a kid, And it literally changed my whole outlook, on things, because if that was there, what else is there? That's what I started thinking, I mean, because in the 70s, man, that's when you started hearing about the UFOs a lot, and aliens, and not just Bigfoot, but Loch Ness Monster was a big one in the 70s, and you start wondering in the back of your head as a kid, just what else is out there. Yeah. It is literally amazing and they find things every day. They're finding new species every day. So why couldn't there be other things out there? My dad even went so far to tell me that there was 4 different types of these Bigfoot beings. So
we've heard that. We've heard that too.
There was,
yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, the most of the ones that I've interacted with are more human. But my dad said, yeah, there's the kind that have like a longer snout, which kind of look like a baboon type of a face. He said that there's the ones that look like monkeys. They're not as thick as what you call from like the Alaskan or the Washington, state of Washington, Oregon area. They're not that big and thick, like the ones down in Florida that they call the skunk ape, or over in the Louisiana and Texas, southern Texas areas,
Did you tell anybody after you guys saw that creature? Did you guys tell your family, your parents?
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's how my dad and I started really getting involved in talking about things like that. Oh yeah. Yeah. At the time he was a truck driver, so he was away, driving truck. But when he got back, yeah.
Was that the Allegheny National Forest?
No, Allegheny National Forest was more towards the top central part of the state. Okay, it starts. Let's see, Erie County is the farthest northwest corner of the state. The whole shoreline of Erie County that heard stories of these Bigfoot being seen, because they like the water. Everybody thought in the 70s that they didn't like water, that, they couldn't swim, they'd like a rock. No, these things love the water. They love lakes because they know that they can live there, they can fish, they can survive. They're gonna have a much easier life of being around water.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it is a lot easier to survive when you have it near you. Mm-hmm. Instead of making long tracks and distance, walks and stuff to get to it. Right. But yeah, there's places in Erie County that went over towards Allegheny National Forest. The whole area, the way it's set up with the waterways, with the streams and the creeks and all that, and the woods, it's very easy. Even power lines. I mean, everything was just so well put together, and it was thick evergreen foliage up there. So, I mean, they could have shelter year round just by being underneath the pine trees up there, because they were huge. I mean, as kids, I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying this, but as kids, we used to throw snowballs at cars.
Yeah, we all did that. Yeah.
There were pine trees along the edge of the road that we would climb up in the middle of winter, and we'd get like 30 feet in the air, and we'd make all kinds of little snowballs, and we'd just, as they drove past, and people would stop their cars, and they'd be like looking around trying to figure out where it came from, And here we are 30 feet up in a tree, and and we were so busy laughing that But yeah, I mean, it's such thick woods up in that area. There's a place called Walnut Creek, and Walnut Creek is where I had my second sighting. Okay, that's where the gravel pit was when they were building the houses, and the only thing I can correlate to that second encounter at the time right now is that maybe I interrupted hunting or something, or, maybe it just thought maybe it wanted to interact with me somehow, It's a heck of a way to interact, but, because it was a real shock, getting thrown off the cycle. So, you're doing 35 miles an hour on a dirt bike and a muddy path, and next thing you know, you're doing an endo, and yeah, I mean, I probably could have gotten hurt pretty bad though.
Oh yeah,
but just seeing it,
and then you got laughed at on top of it,
is what made me think. You know what? It's and that's literally what made me think back then, because I was 13 years old at that time, and that's literally what made me think that, you know what? It's not an animal. It's human. If it can grin like that and smile and have emotion. Animals, you don't, I mean, they say dogs grin, stuff like that, and they do, dogs dream too. I've seen it, but this was more than that. This was something to where it blew my mind, so, and I'm kind of glad I didn't have that encounter close the first time, because I was younger. I think the second time I saw it, it wasn't more of a shock to me that it was standing there, grinning. It was, wow, there it is again. Mm-hmm. So 2016 here in Virginia, driving to work. Okay. In fact, the BFRO has my report on their website. I was driving to work, and it was about 4:15 in the morning, and I was going down Route 11, which is, a rural, highway. It runs along I-81 side by side, going north and south. Okay. Anyways, I'm in my old beat up shit. I had an old square body, pickup truck, 84. I was going to plan on fixing up to retire, and make it into a show truck, but that didn't work out. Anyways, I'm driving, and I got the high beams on. I'm the only one on the road, okay, and at that time in the morning, because it's a rural area. It's not like there's any big cities around it. The closest thing you could even call a city would be Winchester, so Winchester, Virginia, and that's not that big of a town, so it's just a town. Anyways, I'm driving, and I get to a place called Arch Road, and my headlights hit this black thing standing next to a stop sign. And I looked at it, and it didn't turn and look at me. It just moved like a freaking ninja across the road down into a little gully where there was a stream. And the stream ran from east to west direction, and I was driving, coming north to south. Okay. So when it went down in the stream, down in about, it must have been at least a 20-foot step down in there that it made. I mean, and it made it fast. And that was the whole time I was staring at it, driving. I was amazed because I hit my brakes, and I'm just staring at it, and I'm looking at its back end. And it was so thick. I mean, I literally saw the muscles in the lower back going down into the buttocks. I saw the hamstring muscles. I saw the calf muscles. And I saw the thickness of the shoulders, across the shoulders. It was like a moving tree trunk, It was just massive. And it was jet black. So, but yeah, that was probably the clearest I've seen it, but I saw it from the backside.
Yeah.
So, but it was massive. It reminded me of like you take an Incredible Hulk action figure and you glue rabbit hair to it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You get what I mean? That's how thick it was. I mean, just the muscles, it was amazing. Yeah. So, and that was the closest I'd been to it, because I was only like 40 feet away from it when I saw it.
Wow.
So I got a real good look at everything when I saw it.
Okay.
And the hair wasn't, sometimes you'll see reports of it, or you hear reports of where they have real shaggy hair, but it was long It was probably 3, maybe 2.5 to 3 inches long. It was black hair, but it wasn't like matted or unkept. You know what I mean? It was obviously it was it looked like something that took care of itself. I don't know how you would even do that, having that much hair, but I didn't have any type of mange, any hair matted or anything like that. It was perfectly, contoured. It looked just like that, the way it laid down. Basically growing up with my mom the way she was and my dad being gone so much, I was brought up. She was teaching me stuff. And at that young age, this is before I even had all the Bigfoot, interaction and all that. I had my first experience with anything. I was 3 years old, and I was in a neighbor's field picking chestnuts off of their tree because we had permission to do that. Me and my sister, my older sister, and we were picking chestnuts. I was 3 years old at the time, and next thing I know, I was waking up several hours later. Apparently, some teenagers took it upon themselves to almost beat me to death at 3 years old. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a true story.
Wow.
I remember seeing my grandmother, who had recently passed, and that was my first experience I had with death at 3 years old. So I've after that, they say death changes you, and it does. It does. It makes you more receptive. It's like turning the amplifier up, And then, my mother, she wouldn't let me leave her side for the most part, after that.
Who would do that to a 3-year-old kid?
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, and they were just teenagers. I don't know if they were high or drunk or what, but it's just the way it is back then. People, you got to remember the 70s, the 60s and the 70s were bad, not only for the African American people, but they were bad for Native Americans too. Native Americans didn't get their shape, and to tell you the truth, they still don't today. And that's one thing I've always been proud to be is Native American. That's the last thing I have to be proud of is my long hair. That.
Do you think that because of what happened to you and you became what you said, receptive, sensitive, whatever it was to things more so, is that why you've seen Bigfoot more than once or twice? Do you think that has anything to do with it?
I think it has something to do with it. I think also, though, that a lot of people don't understand that these beings and Native people are somewhat similar, especially from the the recent past in the 1800s and 1700s and all that. We weren't that different. The only difference was a little bigger than us, and they were hairy. To us, they were just another tribe, like you said in the beginning. They were just another people to interact with, and to trade with, and to, just, be around, interact with all the time,
Right.
I don't see any difference from them than I do an Asian person of Asian descent. I don't see any difference between a European. You know what I mean? To me, they are just another person. That's what they are. And we're always going to be connected. Everything in life that we do is connected. Everything. Chief Seattle said it best. Chief Seattle had a saying where basically, we're all connected in the web of life, and what we do to web, we do to ourselves. And, it's true. Everything we do in life, we're doing to ourselves.
Yeah.
So, as I was saying, though, with my mom being, into the black arts and stuff, They say that, once you go that way, it opens up doors. There's another good one too. As a kid, I was sitting on my mom's lap in a recliner chair, and the chair was positioned in the corner of the house in the living room. And where you sat in the corner of the house, you could see the kitchen through like the dinette area. It was a ranch style house. Okay. The basement had no door on it. Okay. The basement was kind of like a refrigerator, and then it was open, and then down the stairs. Okay. So I'm sitting on my mom's lap in the recliner, and the next thing I know, it gets really cold, and I couldn't move. And apparently my mom couldn't move either. So the only thing she could do, she said she turned her head to the left, and she looked at the stairwell from the basement. And up from the stairs came this brown, cloaked, hooded figure, literally gliding across the floor. It wasn't walking, it was gliding across the floor. Full figure, full like regular human being figure that was floating out of the basement in a robe, and just glided right across the kitchen floor into the hallway where my older sister was sleeping. And she was, I think, 16, 17 years old at the time. Next thing you know, we hear a scream. And apparently my sister ran through whatever it was, and it disappeared, and she ran into the wall in the hallway. To make a long story short, my mom chalked it up in like the Grim Reaper coming to get my sister, because she was doing what she was doing, and she was flirting with death. Yeah, that's just another story. That's not even the half of it. Guys, honestly, if you went to my Facebook page and you read some of the short stories that I've posted on there, that I have it on Nighthawk High Strangeness, it's my personal page and my page where I do the paranormal stuff and the cryptid stuff, and just read those, you'll be amazed. Some of the stuff I went through as a child, you'd think it would scar me for life, but I actually think it prepared me for my adult life. I really do. I think it was meant to do it that way for some reason.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. We'll be sure to check out your Facebook page, and hopefully our listeners will check it out too.
Well, it's William Nighthawk, okay? Nighthawk, William Nighthawk, and it's Nighthawk's High Strangeness.
Okay.
And the reason I call it High Strangeness is because the way I grew up and everything that's happened to me over my years. You got to remember, I'm almost 60 years old. I'm no spring chicken, So, but everybody says I look younger than I do, but I'm almost 60 years old. And, I wear those 60 years like a badge of honor with everything I've been through. A lot of my Masonic buddies know, my brothers from the lodge know that, a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about, because I've talked to them about it. And, so I talk to them on a regular basis about stuff, that I've gone through and stuff that I'm going through currently. At a point right now, with everything I've been through, I see things on a daily basis. Everybody talks about seeing ghosts and all that, and this and that, and orbs, and I see that stuff all the time. I do. I literally, and that's no lie, guys. I'm not lying.
Yeah, we believe you.
Yeah, we believe you.
I'll say that on my last dying breath that I have. That is a true statement, because I'm a Christian. I believe in God, and I am not going to lie and burn in hell for something stupid.
Right.
So
some people have that. I don't know if you want to call it a gift or not. When they have some traumatic things happen, they experience a lot of other things in life, it seems, and you seem to be
they're
like
more in tune with the other side.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because of my bloodline too, that has something to do with it.
Yeah.
But one thing my dad told me about Bigfoot was they are so connected to the environment and to nature that they get the power to do what they do and learn from it for the hundreds and since they've been here, just as much as we are learning technology. We have gone one way and they have gone the other.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know, and that's why they don't want anything to do with us. They're curious. Bigfoot are curious about us, and that curiosity gets them in trouble every now and then. They're just curious. They don't want anything to do with us though, because we've gone so far from ourselves, our natural way of being.
Yeah,
you know,
I understand.
That we don't even resemble what we used to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
nope.
And you know, a lot about the stick structures too that's out there, and this comes from my dad too, and from what I've learned personally from being out in the field. I got cancer in 2019, so I was actually active all the way up until April of 2019 with my research. And what I've found, whenever I found structures, and I lecture about this too, to some of the Bigfoot events and stuff to people, because people are always coming up to me and asking me, you know, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? So I just said, you know what? Forget it. I'm just going to start talking to people in these events and explain to them what I have found out in my research. And I'm not saying that my information is the sole information. You know, I'm not by any ways and means an expert. I'm merely a Native American man trying to live in this body and having experiences. Okay, I'm not a professional. I'm not, you know, I'm not claiming that I know everything, because I don't. You know, nobody knows everything. Okay, but the stick structures, from what I've seen, the teepee style. Whenever you see that, you're seeing a representation of home or a lodge, a family unit with an alpha male. Okay, those groups usually are anywhere from 10 to 5 in number, depending on, you know, how many children they have. Okay, it's usually one senior male, one senior female. Okay, and then the kids. Okay, whenever you see that teepee structure, right, you know, that's a location of a lodge. And where did they learn that from? They learned from us. We didn't interact with them in the old days. Then why would they do that? Whether they're made out of grass, whether they're made out of pine boughs, you know, you'll see a lot of structures like that. Again, if we didn't interact with them in the old days, how would they know how to do that? Why would they do that?
Right. Yeah.
A lot of the markings, you know, when they stack rocks or they bend a tree a certain way. Those are all our tricks. Those are tricks that our elders teach us when we're children, how to show markings on a trail so our people can find us if we ever got separated. See, everything that they're doing is mimicking what we did in the old days and what a lot of us traditional natives know today how to do. You know, we mark trails, we mark game trails, we mark our direction. We mark where our water source is. You know, we use stones, and you'll always see a stack of stones, and there'll be one stone that looks like it's out of place pointing in a certain direction. That's the direction we went.
William, that's all amazing, awesome encounters that you had. And we don't want to keep you any longer tonight, but we just really appreciate you coming on, and thank you for being here and talking with us.
Yep.
I appreciate you guys, friends. I appreciate what you guys do. I appreciate everything you guys do, because you guys are awesome in what you do. You're researching and you're getting the word out, and you're letting people talk about their encounters, and it means a lot to people. So I want you guys to know that.
Appreciate that.
I appreciate it
that a lot.
Thank you, William. All right, buddy. You take care then. We'll talk to you later.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks.
That's a lot of interesting, strange, and cool stuff that he's.
That was a lot to take in, especially the dying part. Wow.
I didn't think about. You forget about, as far as minorities go, or you want to classify people a certain way, in this prejudice that goes on, and him as a little kid, for someone to do those things to him at 3 years old, that's just terrible, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. Well, man, for the longest time, they were second-class citizens. They were
right. They do have that connection, though. I feel with the Sasquatch or the Bigfoot people.
For sure.
He said a lot of things that kind of made me think about some things and whatnot. So every time we talk to somebody, I get a different viewpoint on something. I'm like, what do I do now?
I know. It just gets better and better as we do this.
Right.
I'm loving it.
So,
still loving it.
Sometimes I wonder if Bigfoot's really just just a caveman. That's what cavemen are. People talk about caveman. Maybe that's what they were talking about back in the day.
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't know what to think anymore.
I don't know. I don't think anybody knows, and hopefully one of these days we'll all figure it out.
Hopefully.
We'll find out together.
We're going to work on it. We're going to keep trying.
You're damn right we are.
All right, man. Hey, thanks for being with me again.
Always fun, man. Always.
All right. We'll talk to you soon then.
See ya.